Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting episode of Wrestling Prime. I am your host, Tom Dog, and yes, we are here. We are live. We're going to be going back into the swing of things and everything like that because we had a lot of fun last week. I can never understand. For 28 years, you think I would know my difference between camera right and camera left. So yeah, camera right, camera left. I only got one freaking camera. Uh, 28 years. Jesus Christ. Where's the time going, right? Anywho, but yeah, welcome. Welcome. We're gonna have a lot of fun here today. We got tons of reviews to do. And and yeah, some other cool stuff. With that being said, Matt the Monsters. Shout out to Raz and the gang over there, Matt the Monsters. Awesome, awesome show. Check it out over on the Owl Light Network. Raz and the gang. Always doing wonderful good stuff on there. So yeah, definitely worth checking out. And of course, um big shout out to Crypto Slam, Tails and the gang. Always a big shout out to them. And this episode is brought to you by M&J Video Games and Collectibles. If you have any autographed wrestling items or um, wrestling pop vinyls that you want to get rid of and everything like that, any type of wrestling merchandise that you want to get rid of, that you want to part with and everything like that, definitely do so. If you happen to be in the Southington, Connecticut area, and you want to check out this wonderful, amazing store, you definitely want to check that out over at mnjvideogames.com. Also, this episode is brought to you by W Energy. And what is W Energy? It's an energy supplement that has no sugar, no artificial flavors or colors or dyes or whatever. None of those cheap gimmicks and everything like that. They're already going to be paying an awful lot. You also will get no crash, no burn. You won't be laying down for anybody. You won't get that tap out and everything like that. Right. And, and yeah, you will absolutely love it. And got a cool offer for you. If you go to w.gg right now, use that promo code BRILL at the checkout, you'll save 10% on your purchase. And yeah, you use that promo code right there that you see right there, right there. That's the promo code. Big big caps. Brill. Brill, bro. You definitely want to take advantage of this unique offer. You'll save 10% on their store and everything. You will love it. You will absolutely love it. I love it, and you'll love it too. So yeah, definitely worth checking that out. Again, that's w.gg, promo code BRILL. Use that code at the checkout and save 10% on your purchase today. Also, the Brody Lee Reebok Classic Leather sneakers are still available exclusively online at champsports.com. And the Huber family will donate 100% of the royalties to Highmark Herring, continuing Mr. Brody Lee's legacy of kindness, compassion, and community. Big, uh, really big on that, and yeah, his memory will always be remembered, and you definitely want to take advantage of that. So again, that's champsports.com, and again, the Hubbard family will donate 100% of royalties to the Highmark Herring, continuing Mr. Brody Lee's legacy of kindness, compassion, and going to a good cause, and you'll look good in those amazing, amazing sneakers, and you definitely don't want to miss out on it. And the holidays are coming up too, so makes a good holiday gift. Okay. Um. So, before we do the show, actually, no, no, I'll do that. Uh, tie it to the whatever I'm talking about. So yeah, I watched the final episode of Mr. McMahon earlier today. This is it, the last episode, and the title of this one was called The Finish. And yeah, this was a very interesting episode. They mostly talked about about Chris Benoit's death and what had happened and everything like that, and how a storyline had to be scrapped because of that. And yeah, it's sad, because you know we were getting to the point, getting to a time that Vince McMahon was did a really nice storyline, um on who killed Mr. McMahon. And he was Vince McMahon was going on a downward spiral in character. This is character. Ever since his loss at WrestleMania 23, where Umaga, that was representing Mr. McMahon, lost to Bobby Lashley. We're going to be talking more about him later. But yeah, he lost to Bobby Lashley, who was representing Donald Trump. And yeah, Donald Trump is, has always been he's always been a, WWE guy and everything. Has always had a good relationship with Vince McMahon. Um, I'm not talking about what he's, you know, election day's coming up, and go out there and do your part and vote. I'm not telling you who to vote for. That's your job. But that's not the episode that we're talking about today. We're talking about, um, you know, WrestleMania 23. Um, you know, Donald Trump has always had a good relation, as I said, with the McMahon family. Um, you know, Trump's casino in Atlantic City. He had hosted two WrestleManias back to back. Um, he's been involved, so yeah, he's always had a good relationship with that, especially doing that storyline with Vince McMahon, and doing the get being a guest host at one time. And so yeah, it was a pretty cool thing doing storylines with Trump and everything. So it was actually pretty cool. And then WrestleMania 23 comes around, and the match was Battle of the Billionaire, and it's one of those things that when, when billionaires get too rich, and they always have a friendly rivalry and everything. Is like, you know, this is what rich people do. They always they like to stroke their own ego and everything like that. Oh, I'll do this, and and it's like I'll challenge you to do this and everything like that. And it's usually a time friendly competition, and so it's kind of a tradition to do that if you're if you're billionaires and self-made billionaires and everything like that. But anyways, I'm going on a I'm going digressing here. But yeah, so in this particular case, Vince McMahon and Donald Trump wanted to have was going to have a match, and but since Donald Trump is not a wrestler, um, he is definitely at um he's going to be going out there um against Vince McMahon, who at times does wrestle. So instead of doing in there like that, um, they would find anybody to represent them. Umaga was the late great Umaga went out there and he represented Vince McMahon. Right. And then Bobby Lashley would go and represent Donald Trump, and it's like it was so funny. We love Bobby. We love Bobby. Look at that Bobby. Isn't he something, folks? Anywho, and a special guest referee was Stone Cold Steve Austin, which he cut a really good promo, especially at Donald Trump. So I like that, which is why I like this match. And so yeah, whoever in the stipulation was also that if their guy if their guy loses, that you know either Trump if if Lashley or Umaga win, um, Vince or Trump would go and get their head shaved. And so Vince was doing this whole thing about you know you know poking fun at Donald Trump, and and giving out these head shaves, and even at one day it was like the brother look, which that was funny. I will admit that it was really really funny. And yeah, it was really classic and everything like that. And yeah, a lot of and even some celebrities chimed in on who you think was going to win um the battle of the billionaires, either Vince or Trump and everything. And it's kind of unique how some of the Trump supporters went with Vince McMahon back in the day. I mean, but anywho, um, so the match went on and everything like that. It was a pretty good match, pretty decent. Um, and then at one point, Trump came around and beat the snot out of Vince McMahon. So that was pretty cool. That was pretty entertaining. And yeah, it was interesting. And that was like the only time he had a pretty good pop. The only so, but when he got into the Hall of Fame years later, that was a different story. But we're not. But again, we're not talking about that. We're talking about his time in WWE and at WrestleMania 23. And so yeah, it it was it was a pretty good match. And then of course, um, Vince got his head shaved and everything like that. Um, they celebrated with the beer and everything. And then next thing you know, out of nowhere, Steve Austin stuns um, Donald Trump, and crowd goes nuts and everything. And I keep rewinding that spot, even even years later. I'm still rewinding that spot because it's my favorite spot. I just love that spot, and I even at times I even put it in slow motion because it's that classic. So, yeah, still trying to find a way to put my head on, trying to put my head on, you know, on Steve, my head on Steve, covering Steve Austin's face, giving Trump the stunner. I think that'll be really awesome. But I like this. I like this a hell of a lot better. Yeah, that's how I feel about that. But anyways, so yeah, that was the thing and everything. So after WrestleMania, Vince was having a break, like a little breakdown, and he felt ashamed and everything. And then next thing you know, one thing led to another, and then in May, kaboom! Uh, he walks off and he goes out there and he just excuse me, goes out there and he just goes and he just does it that way, and and it was a good edit too. He even credited that was a really good edit, and I am too because when Vince closed the limousine door and then it explodes, that was a damn good edit, and I was like, damn, that was really good, and it made people believe that he actually blew up, that he actually died in that limousine, and yeah, that was a really good spot and everything, and they treated it like it was an actual death. And, there were actually people crying. They did a eulogy and everything like that. Kind of like what they do when every wrestler dies and everything. They do the 10 bell and everything. And it was one of those really cool spots and moments. But then ultimately they cut it short because of what happened in real life. Chris Benoit did a double murder suicide. I mean, double double homicide suicide and a suicide. You know, it was him, woman, and his son. He killed his youngest son, and he killed his wife Nancy, who was uh known in the wrestling world as woman. Um, and then he went and killed himself, and it was a tragic, a huge tragedy. It was news all over the place and everything, trying to figure out what the hell happened. Come to find out that Chris Benoit um, was taking these drugs, and there was some sort of chemical in there, which is controversial to some. Is controversial to some wrestlers. Some believe it, some don't, and I'm not going to bore you with that because I'm not an expert on that topic. But this was one of the things that had happened, and yeah, it was a huge deal, and so um, because of that, um, Vince went out there and did that little tribute to him and everything because at the time he didn't know what the hell was going on. Vince had no idea what was going on, and he didn't know about it until shortly after. So he was the last to really know. Him and the WWE were getting ready to set up the show and everything, but instead he gave everybody refunds who bought their ticket to see Monday Night Raw when it was only Vince in the middle of the ring, and he was just doing that, and gave everybody refunds, and and or you can either get the refund or go to this next taping and everything like that. So it was a really huge thing, and yeah, it was sad. It was sad to hear about what happened, but then when word got out about his toxology report, we were pissed. And I can recall a moment when I was talking about it on my show, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was that I was doing wrestling. It was wrestling. It was a Wrestling Prime theme, but at the same time, it was on Channel X. So we kind of like I kind of crossband because I'm only allowed to do one show. Um, I couldn't do two shows like I can do now when I was on cable access. So with that being said, that's so I preempted um the storyline that I was going to do, and pretty much pretty much honor the legacy of Chris Benoit, and and it was controversial even for me to do, because we all know, because my show was live on Thursday. The incident happened on Sunday, because Sunday going into Monday, because Chris Benoit, the day before, there was a pay per view that he did not go to. We didn't know what the hell happened, and so he no showed. So he was scheduled to do a match, and that didn't happen. Then on Monday, the news broke out about what happened. So because of that, I want it's like I wanted to at least honor the wrestler. I want at the time, because we're still a little we were some of us were still a little hazy on what had happened, and we're trying to, because at the time we didn't want to believe, didn't want to believe, but then we knew. And so the controversy was for me to do the same thing that WWE did, and just throwing some and showing one of his good matches, which was his match at WrestleMania 20. So because of that, and I was it was a pretty uh it was a gray area that I probably, I kind of wish I went back to, and say, listen, we're not going to do that. But I wanted to at least, you know show what what he was like in the ring, because there was a lot of fans, including myself, that did not want to believe what he had done. And at the time, part of me still, a part of me at that time did not want to know, didn't want to believe that Chris Benoit did what he did. But then, looking years, shortly after the grievance period ended, and it ended really quickly, because the toxology report came out. The doctor that gave him the pills and everything like that, um, was still a debate whether they were prescribed to him or not, or it was like a heavy dose. Um, we still don't know the but Paul Heyman said it best, is that there was one guy that was able to pull the trigger, and that was Chris Benoit. And he's right. And you know he can. A lot of people cannot forgive, will never forgive Chris Benoit what he did. We cannot, to this day, it still lingers in our mind, and the debate still goes on of whether or not he should be in the Hall of Fame. And the answer is simple. The answer is no. He will never be in the Hall of Fame. I don't want to see him in the Hall of Fame or any type of wrestling Hall of Fame because he is not worthy. Yeah, he has he has a historic career, and there's no question that he will always be on the top tier list. But knowing what we know now, there will be backlash from hardcore WWE fans if Chris Benoit shows up as an inductee to the Hall of Fame, which is why I would not. Which is why I said last time, a couple weeks ago, should should fans of today? And the answer is no, because some of them would put in Chris Benoit's name on the ballot, that and nobody would even dare to do that. I know there's still controversy going on whether or not Mark McGuire should be in the Hall of Fame, or Sammy Sosa, or hell, even Barry Bonds in the Baseball Hall of Fame. But how is it? But they always get their names are always bringing up in discussions all the time. We get Pete Rose, or rest in peace, Pete Rose, WWE Hall of Famer, can't even get into the Hall of Fame. Can't get into the Baseball Hall of Fame because he bet against because he gambled in baseball. Give me a fucking break. Excuse my language, but yeah, that's ridiculous. Here's a guy that has a huge accolade in base has a a baseball record. Can't even get into a baseball Hall of Fame, all because he bet against his team. But yet, but yet, Darryl Strawberry gets a pass because he's done some drugs in his day in his younger days. Babe Ruth was a heavy drinker, and I'm sure there's some other baseball players that have done drugs. I mean, not steroid issued, but like just like cocaine or anything else. I mean, Jesus, they get in, and they're still putting in Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, and Mark McGuire. All of them tested positive for steroids, and they still get voted. They're still voted in. They don't win, but there's going to be a time. There's going to be a time where that will happen. And Pete Rose doesn't get a pass. And even now, if Pete Rose does get in because he's dead, it won't mean nothing because he won't be able to say, he won't be able to give his speech and say it's about damn time. So yeah, you want to throw in somebody who killed his family and himself through drug, because of a drug abuse. No, why would you want to put someone like Chris Benoit in the Hall of Fame or any Hall of Fame? He's I'm sure if he didn't do all those things and he was murdered innocently along with his family, then yeah, absolutely. We want to be in this not in this conversation. But no, I don't want to see him in the Hall of Fame because it will be disgusting. I'd rather see Owen Hart, a person who damn well deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. But I understand why. At least I understand why Owen Hart's not in the WWE Hall of Fame. But at the same time, I feel like she's taken something away from for the fans who love him. If anybody is more deserving to be in the WWE Hall of Fame, it's Owen Hart. But again, I understand why that she doesn't want him to be in there. But at, but but the other side of me says no. It's like, come on. I loved Owen Hart. I still watch his matches. He's had a historic career. Whether he was in, you know, I can recall his best match was against his brother, Brett, WrestleMania, and then again in SummerSlam in a steel cage. And to me, I think Owen Hart would have been a good champion because his brother paved the way for technical wrestlers like Bret Hart to say, "Hey, yeah, you're a mid card guy, but look at you. You can be more." And not only that, people were speculating when Brett went in '97 when Brett went to WCW. When Brett went to WCW after the Montreal screw job, everybody, everybody in WWE were thinking that he was going to do the same because of what happened in Montreal. But no, he stayed behind. So yeah, but he had a good run. He had an outstanding run. He was in tag matches with his brother-in-law. He was in tag matches with the with the with the greats. His brother Brett, Jim Neidhart, Coco Beware. And yeah, I loved High Energy. Don't at me on that. Hell, even the new foundation I had a fondness for. And they should have won tag title. But he wouldn't win a tag title until years later when he was tagged with his brother-in-law, Davey Boy Smith. And then again with Yokozuna. So yeah, he had a historic career. He was tag champion, European champion, Intercontinental champion. This close of becoming WWE champion. And many great matches with many great people. Martha, I get it. I get it. You don't want to see him in the Hall of Fame because of what happened to him in 1999 in Kentucky. I get it. But as a wrestling fan, I, as a fan of your late husband, I would love to see him in the Hall of Fame. I would, because I'm a fan. I will never stop loving your late husband's matches. I wouldn't. I love Owen Hart. Like I said, he's had a great run with so many guys in the business. He was a practical joker behind the scenes, but when he was in the ring, he was really serious when he was in that ring. So I think that Owen Hart should be in and yeah. And he's brought up many, many times. Owen Hart is brought up many times. Whenever somebody in the Hall of Fame, when somebody's inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame, and they talk about Owen, Brett talked about him many times. Jeff Jarrett talked about him many times. I'm sure there's going to be others. And I think that he deserves to be in there. He does. He has my vote. If I was given that vote, I said I would definitely put Owen Hart on the top of that list alongside Bray Wyatt. And yeah, you know, Wyndham Rotunda, he's going to be in there. He is going to be in there. I thought he was going to be in it this year, but next year is okay. You know, hell, I would put Vader in there. Vader deserves to be in there. Doink the Clown, Matt Bourne, he deserves to be in there. Hector Guerrero, good wrestler back then until he was put in a turkey suit. And yeah, I would in yeah, I don't care what anybody says. I would put the gobbledygooker in there too. And Brother Love. I would. I'm sorry, but I love the gobbledygooker. I don't care how corny it was. I don't I really don't care. I have a soft spot for him. And hey, he debuted in Hartford. Imagine the and hey, the Undertaker debuted in Hartford too. So the rest I say is history on that part. But hey, imagine and yeah, Undertaker was rumored to be in that egg. Imagine he was in that egg. It would be very. He wouldn't. He actually would not last in the WWE if he came out of that egg and said gobble gobble. That's kind of like was kind of like when the Yeti came out in Halloween Havoc when he broke out of that ice in WCW. Yeah, you could tell that somebody thought of that and said, you know what, hey, WWE did this thing, did this spot on Thanksgiving where where a man in a turkey suit would be their next get, to get over with the children. But you know what? Hey, we got Halloween Havoc, so guess what? Yeah, we got this big giant block of ice, and there's somebody in it. who was in that block of ice, and it didn't fail to disappoint because it was the Yeti, who would later become the Super Ninja. Hell, I would put Elegante in the Hall of Fame. You know, like I said, put me involved in it. But anyways, going back to what I was saying, yeah, Chris Benoit, no, he'll never be in the Hall of Fame. So it's a dead issue. That issue is more dead than him. Watch people at me because I said something insensitive. I don't give a shit. I really don't. I really don't. You know, and I feel bad for his for his oldest son who's wrestling now, and everybody who knows who he looks like. Has a has a hard you know feel bad for him. I feel bad for him because he's trying to move away from the legacy that his father did have when he was in the ring, but he changed the persona and everything like that, and trying not to bring that involved in everything. But it's hard to break away because everybody knows his father and what he did, and it's really tough. And it's really tough on him. And I feel bad that he has to face that burden. I really do. And he can't move on in the wrestling career because the name is tarnished. The name is tarnished. And if anybody in that family should be in the Hall of Fame, it should be a woman. She didn't deserve to die. She didn't ask to die. Really. But it is it is what it is, I guess. But I don't know. I really don't know. Anyways, so that idea was scrapped with that who killed Vince McMahon. I really wanted to know where that was going to go. I really would want to know. The rumors were going around that maybe Linda McMahon was going to be the one that killed him, and but we're never going to know. We're never going to know how that storyline ended. So thanks for nothing, Chris Benoit. Anywho, so yeah, years later, so Vince had to go because of what happened with Benoit's death and everything like that. Um, Vince felt he had no choice but to change a few rules within the company, and a lot of people did not like this. This was like the early stages of wokeness and that's going on. That people accuse people of doing, and yeah, it was it was horrible, and so and Vince said he had to do what's best for business, and yeah, a lot of people did not like that era that we were going in. Undertaker didn't like the fact that we couldn't didn't like the fact that chair shots to the head wasn't allowed anymore, and because he's old school and everything like that, and I understand that. But but as a promoter and everything like that, you had to change it up and everything. But I know that one good redeeming quality that came there even though that there were a lot of people did not like the rules, there's one good redeeming factor out of all of this is that it put an end to the Divas division, and it evolved into actual women wrestling. We're not divas, we're women. And And I give credit for Stephanie McMahon for starting that um for making a stand to that women's division. I liked it. I liked it. So I'm not going to say nothing bad about it because you know what? Hey, the Divas division, it was. I'm not going to lie. I wasn't a fan of the Divas division because the a lot of the women there weren't really. They were just basically there for eye candy. That's all they were there for. That's all they were there for. And yeah, it was a horrible time. It was a really horrible time. And they did the diva shirt, the search, and everything it was it was awful. So in that good quality, that the PG era, which it became after all this too, because it brought in more sponsors. I look at it as a positive standpoint, you know, as a business idea, and I like that. I like that. Good, it's a good marketing idea because you have to understand, you have to answer. You know, you can't. Even though sex sells, and I get that, and I understand that, but you have to understand something. When you're running a company like the WWE, and you're owner of a big big sports entertainment franchise, you have to answer to a lot of sponsors, and you have to make and this is the advice that I was given when I was trying to go into broadcasting school, and it pays off too. In what I'm about to say, in life, there are sacrifices. You have to take those sacrifices, and you know, because you have to answer to a lot of people. You have to answer to a lot of people. Yeah, may yeah, sex sells at times, but you got to know when to sell it. You got to know when and where to sell it because if you have if you because you have to look at the age demographic. You have to look at the age demographic, and wrestling is a family business because excuse me because the WWE, you're marketing to kids, you're marketing to not just to the adults, but you're also marketing it to uh, young teens and children. You have to look at that. You have to look at that because that's where the merchandise comes from, not just the T-shirts or the posters or anything like that, but the action figures, the video games, the and hell, shout out the splash pages, but comic books. Comic books were a big thing to some of the wrestlers. With the Ultimate Warrior comic book, as crazy as it was back then, people bought that. People bought it. There was a Legion of Doom comic book. I was in one of my local comic book stores. Shout out to BoomTube Comics. I stumbled across a Rey Mysterio comic book. Stupid me did not pick that up, and I should have. And look at now, you have AEW partnering with DC Comics, and DC is going to be and AEW is going to be a part of the All In event that's going on right now in the comic book world. And at the end of the day, you have Swerve Strickland and Darby Allin, and I think there's one other one that's going to be having their own comic book series. That's awesome. But WWE always would always market themselves to kids. And then when they took an awful risk with the Attitude Era, and yeah, even though we want to see that era back, do you really want to see it back? No. It was good back then, but at the same time, it was a commercial. It was a commercial risk because, in a business standpoint, how was the sponsorship back then? Not that good. It was risky, yeah. I mean, but then you had Mick Foley and The Rock, or you had Mick Foley promoting in Chef Boyardee. So the merchandise was there. The sponsorships were there, but it was low. So when the PG era hit, they brought in more sponsors. They brought in more sponsors. People were sponsoring more because you know what? They were getting rid of the violence. They were getting rid of the sex. They were getting rid of all the bad language and everything like that. And making it you know a family friendly environment. And yeah, more merchandise was falling off of the shelves. The autograph, the action figures, the video games. You know, and yeah, the video games still sell because they still keep the era where you can be as violent as you want in the WWE games. And yeah, that's a good thing. So there's the balance right there, and I like that. I like that. So I look at it as that, a lot of people may not have liked it, but for me, I understood. I understood, you know. You have to answer this. If you're in a business like the WWE, you have to answer to a lot of investors, and you got to look at the business point. It's like, will this make money? That's why I'm always saying on the show that AEW should tone it down on the violence, because you always got to, because you have, especially if you're doing it on live television. If you're doing it on live television, you have to answer to those sponsors, especially where they slip up, where they throw in a shit sometimes. You have to be careful, even though shit is allowed to be said on television. You have to still be careful. You still have to be careful when to use it. And you know, and yeah, and there's kids that watch the product too. But you have to understand though that if you tone down the violence, you could still have a good product, but at the same time, there you go. And then this way you can you don't have to worry about injuries as much. And yeah, I brought that up many times. Don't Now keep in mind, I love AEW. I love WWE, but a lot of wrestlers are on the shelf. I mean, when's Adam Copeland coming back? We don't know. So the remainder of the show of McMahon um, was was left quiet because Vince did not want to bring up want to be interviewed anymore after the sex allegations came up, and and I can understand that. And one of the things that came up in question is that how would you describe Vince's legacy? Now it's my turn as a wrestling fan to answer that same question. That Vince would be remembered. Um, I would like to remember Vince as the guy who who made a profit after he got the business from his he he took over the business for his father and turned it into a multimedia franchise. He he was able to put guys like Hulk Hogan on the map, The Undertaker, John Cena, Stone Cold Steve Austin, The Rock, a lot of these guys, a lot of these guys. Triple H too. Can't forget about him. Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart. Gave us all these wrestlers, gave us all these wrestlers, and we remember them. We watch their matches all the time, you know, and they paved the way you know, for a younger generation to say, "Hey, I used to watch this guy, guy in the ring and everything," and you know, and that's what I wanted. And I owe everything to Vince. I owe everything to Vince too. Because if it wasn't for, you know, being a fan of the product for a really long time, with Andre and, Andre the Giant and guy, loving the product even back then before WWE was a global phenomenon that we know of today. I mean, you know, sitting there on my grandfather's lap watching wrestling, and my grandfather introduced me to the world of wrestling. And, this is wrestling, and he passed the torch to me. So yeah, I owe everything. I owe that as a wrestling fan. I thank him for that because he gave us wrestlers that I look up to today, with the exception of Hulk Hogan, which I'm not going to get into again, as I said. But without John Cena, without Steve Austin, without The Rock, without Andre, without Randy Macho Man Savage, who I still love to this day, Owen Hart, Bret Hart, Jim Neidhart, Honky Tonk Man. All these guys I grew up watching. The I'm not, I brought up The Rock and everything like that, but I grew up watching wrestling when I was 1 years old. I was 1 years old when I first got introduced into wrestling. Not a lot of people can remember that far, but strangely enough, I can. And bunch of guys like Bruno Sammartino and uh, Pat Patterson, Larry Zbyszko, Billy Graham, you know, Jesse Ventura, all these guys, Ricky Steamboat, Ric Flair, all these guys that paved the way, that paved the way for us to be fans of wrestling. And yeah, we play a part in that too. We play a huge part in that because without these guys, there would be no fans of wrestling. There would be no fans of wrestling. So yeah, I thank Vince for that, and I will always thank Vince for that. I don't like what he did behind the scenes with those Sachs allegations and everything like that. And yeah, that's another guy that's probably not going to be in the WWE Hall of Fame because of it. But if he does get inducted, then hey, that's their decision and theirs alone. Tony Atlas, another guy that I like. Jimmy Snuka, yeah, he has a haunted past and everything like that, and but I'm still gonna be that guy that put me over. So if he didn't do it, then hey, then yeah, I don't believe. I'm not gonna believe it until I know it's true. And in light of what's going on, he was acquitted of all charges. So guess what? He didn't do it. He didn't do it. So that's how I look at it. And and yeah, a lot of people, think I'm being a hypocrite when I talk that way. But Chris Benoit never put me over in 1996. Jimmy Snuka, he put me over. He didn't have to put me over, but he put me over. He put me over, and I wasn't even wrestling. I was a wrestling fan, and I will forever love that. And yeah, I went over an hour talking about McMahon, and I probably should just end it here. But why would I want to end it here? Because we got more show to do. So yeah, going overtime. I don't care. But overall, this McMahon docu series was good. Was very very good, and learning about Vince McMahon and some of the things that I did not know about Vince McMahon, and yeah, it was really good, and you know, but again, whether or not these allegations are true of what we know, I do want to say thank you for giving us these memories and for me to talk positive about things that you've given to us wrestling, including me. You've given us these wonderful wrestlers that you gave us. You gave us these wonderful wrestlers that we're talking about to this day, and that I'm still talking about to this day. Without you, there would be no wrestling for us, and that's a fact. And that's a fact because if it wasn't for Vince McMahon, there would be no Monday Night War. There would be no Steve Austin, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. There would be no um, Sid Vicious. All these wonderful wrestlers that walked down the aisle in WWE or in WCW for that matter. We, me as a wrestling fan, thank you for giving us something that we're talking about still to this day. And you know, I like that. And being able to talk about another company because now we're going to be talking about AEW Fright Night. Good segue. But no, overall, but going back though, overall, thank you, Vince, and a good documentary. If you haven't seen it yet, check it out on Netflix. It's worth watching. It is. So, okay, so here we go. AEW Fright Night happened on Wednesday, um, the day before Halloween. Was their Halloween event, and and continued pushing that Full Gear on November 23rd on pay per view. Going to be I don't know where it's going to be, but that's okay. And and yeah, we're gonna get to these matches rather quickly because we still have more show to do. Um, so yeah, the card as it stands, uh, the the Young Bucks taking on Private Party. Um, Swerve Strickland versus Shelton Benjamin, Adam Cole versus Buddy Matthews, Chris Statlander against Camille, and promos from Adam Page and Orange Cassidy. So, um, so we'll talk about the Orange Cassidy promo. He kicked off the show and he pretty much interrupted the Moxley promo package and got a promo and and the hostile takeover that Moxley and his group is doing, and he issued a challenge to the he challenged Moxley to a match at Full Gear. So it's only a matter of time. So Adam Cole takes on Buddy Matthews. Was the next match was the opening match, and Adam Cole defeats Matthews, and not a bad match. Not a bad match. Um, not really. I'm not really going to grade these matches. Um, however, there's one match that I am going to grade. Um, Page cut his promo and everything. Look it up. Um, he pretty much Hangman was basically just talking about his upcoming match with Switchblade Jay White at Full Gear, and so yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. Moxley rebutted and everything, and yeah, that was pretty good. Up next was the AEW Tag Team Championships. The champions, the Young Bucks, taking on Private Party. I actually saw this match on replays and everything, and but yeah, this was actually a very good match, and it's actually one of my favorite matches. It's an A plus match, and congratulations on an order to the Private Party winning the tag champs, and of course, in a strange, um, in a strange uh turn of events after losing the belts, the Bucks handed the belts over to Private Party, and yeah, the this was a different a different side of the Bucks that we have not seen in a long time. And so yeah, this was actually took me by surprise, and that was actually pretty cool. Um, showing that, giving them that respect that that they didn't really have to cheat to win. They didn't have to cheat to win and everything like that, and stroking their own ego. And but yeah, this was really this was really good. This was really good. Chris Jericho cut a promo as well too, and very very interesting. Hey, Chris Statlander takes on Camille. Brutal match. Brutal match. And Statlander defeated Camille. And last but not least, Swerve Strickland takes on Shelton Benjamin in the main event. And this was another good match I liked. And Strickland defeated Shelton Benjamin. Another uh, A style, A grade match. It was back and forth, and I actually saw this match too. I love this match as well. And at the end of the match, um, and so pretty much afterward, after Swerve is celebrating in the ring, MVP makes a phone call, and seconds later, out comes Bobby Lashley. Yes, it is confirmed that he is AEW. He is now all elite. So he is, and so yeah, it did not disappoint. Fans were into it, and Lashley came out, attacked Swerve, laying out security to close the show. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing where this goes next. So yeah, it's the Hurt Syndicate and I like it. I really do like it, and so yeah, this was a really this was really good, and so yeah, overall the show was great. It was, B plus match show rather. So I was entertained from what I saw, and yeah, this was a show. I actually liked it, and so yeah. Um, so now the question remains is that where do you go from here? Where do we go from here? That's so you know Tony. I'm gonna give you that phrase that that you're gonna do. I think you're gonna do good for him. Just like the way you're doing a good job marketing uh, Ricochet, doing a very good job. Doing a good job at that. The way you're showcasing Shelton Benjamin, doing a good job there, and making a storyline with Swerve, and now with Bobby Lashley. You know, keep it up. You're doing a good job, and I'm liking what you're doing so far. So you know, don't pay no attention to people saying that this company is going to go under and everything like that because they said the same people said that about TNA and look at where they are now. So you know what, a win is a win. This was good. Um, I will talk about. So yeah, good job. I didn't see Collision, so but we'll see where. So yeah, we'll talk more about that and everything like that next time. But anyways, um, I do want to bring up Raw, um, because when the Raw before Crown Jewel, this there's one complaint I have, and that is booking the match with Dominic Mysterio. Listen, I don't mind you booking that there's a former champion that's going against him, but it was too predictable. It was too predictable because we all knew that it was going. You didn't have to leave it to a surprise because we already knew that it was going to be Damian Priest. We all knew that. So with that being said, you should, I'm sorry, but it was underwhelming because we already when you know when you're expecting like maybe a former champion, you're thinking guys like who has held the belt like John Cena or The Rock or even Goldberg for that matter. This this was underwhelming. And nothing against Amy. It was still a good match. Don't get me wrong. I'm still praising the match, but come on, they could have at least gave us a surprise wrestle, or like even throw in Rey Mysterio. But he was busy in another match, so guess we're going to do that. But a former champion, they could have at least threw us a friggin' bone. Just saying, folks. But then again, a former champion, does it have to be a world champion? Could it be like a former intercontinental champion, or maybe? I don't know. But nonetheless, it was still a good match, and it was all right. Okay, so now let's talk about Crown Jewel. And before we even get to that, um, I'm doing something that I should have done um, a long time ago, and that's give out um, locker room codes for 2K24. and for WWE 2K24. And so yeah, it's a new thing that I'm going to start doing from now on, moving forward. And so if you didn't get the locker room code on social media, you're in luck because I'm going to put it right there on the bottom of the screen right there, and that is the promo code right there. The locker room code is right there, Crown Jewel. Put that in, you get a couple of card packs, and so yeah, definitely work. And I might do a video. I might do a video about that um, later on. Not tonight, but you know later on. So um, we'll see. And yeah. I'll put it in on. I'll take a picture of it and see what cards I get. Yeah, you get 5 cards, and then you know. So yeah, Crown Jewel right there, and let's talk about the results of Crown Jewel. It happened just a little earlier tonight, and so yeah. So here we go. Uh, so in a 6-man tag match, it was Bloodline versus Bloodline, old school Bloodline versus Bloodline 2.0, and the fact that they came that the old Bloodline came back together, this was good. I like it. And on SmackDown, I thought it was really funny that um I did think that it was very funny that Roman Reigns Roman Reigns got to say yeet. So yeah, I cracked up a little bit about that. That was really funny. So yeah, this match was all over the place. Sami Zayn showed up. Um, thought that um thought that so in a shocking event, Solo Sikoa pinned Roman Reigns, and after the match, the Sikoa and his bloodline um continued their assault on Roman Reigns and the Usos, and even after the match was over, and Sami Zayn's music started to hit and came down, and Sikoa um was getting ready to welcome Sammy into the bloodline, and but in a interesting tournament event, Sami Zayn uh doing an exploder suplex, and the four OG bloodline, they were each held a corner with Sikoa in the middle, and and Sami Zayn accidentally hit Roman Reigns with his signature kick, and Jane and Jimmy was arguing with Zayn while Reigns was recovering, and So this so yeah, the B plus match. Very good opener. Up next, um, was was a four women tag match. Blair and Cargill, Jackson and Legend, Sky and Sane, and Green and Niven. And yeah, this was a the titles were up for grabs. Um, in this fatal four way tag. And yeah, this was a really good match. Women were all over the place and everything, and yeah, and Bianca Belair and Jay Cargill retained the titles. B B minus match. Popular spot was the was always the jumping, out of the ring onto the. Oh yeah, it was pretty good. I always love that. Up next, Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed, and this was so yeah, this was an unsanctioned match, and WWE doesn't which meant that WWE does not approve of this bout and is not responsible for anything that happens. So, so yeah, pretty much anybody can do whatever they want, and so yeah, this was a this match was all over the place, and yeah, this was really pretty crazy match, and yeah, Seth Rollins defeated Bronson Reed, and B plus match, not a bad match. It was pretty good. Up next, champion versus champion, Liv Morgan versus Nia Jax, um, for the women's crown jewel championship. I will want to mention that the crown jewel championship belt is going to be staying in Saudi Arabia. Um, and the winner of the match will be getting a ring. I'm kind of at at edge about that. I'm kind of nitpicking on that because it is a disappointment. Um, but after looking the way they're doing it, I kind of understand. So, but the fact that they're going to be having a ring, so it looks like they're going to be moving forward. They're going to be doing this a lot where um you get the winner of the match gets a ring whenever they're at Crown Jewel. So I kind of like that. In a way, it's interesting, and it's gonna. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know what to say. But yeah. Oh boy, it is a interesting concept, but it looks. I mean, it's different. I'll give you that. And so yeah. But anyways, this match was actually pretty good. Um, Tiffany Strat, uh, Tiffany Stratton got involved. She was about to cash in her briefcase, but that was uh, derailed by Raquel Rodriguez, and and Jax took out both women, and it looked like Nia Jax was going to win the match, but nope, it was. And with Dominic's distraction, Rodriguez came in and blindsided Jax, pushed her off the top rope, and Liv Morgan took the opportunity to hit her finisher for the win, and becomes the first inaugural Crown Jewel champion for the women's division. And this was a B minus. Still, this match was all over the place because of that, and so yeah, and so so yeah. Um, Up next, Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens, and so uh, Orton came out, and during it, during his entrance, he was posing, does his pose in the on the ring, on the turnbuckles there, and Owens blindsided him with a steel chair to the knee, and they fought inside. They fought a little bit inside, and then fought on the outside. The ref then took the chair away from Owens, and the referee got a stunner. Then Orton fought back with the chair, with the chair. Then officials came down, trying to stop both of them from escalating. And um, Michael Cole said that the officials waved off the match, and Owens and Orton were beating the snot out of each other still, and the here security came down, and officials came down, and general managers came down, and throughout all that mess, Randy Orton RKO'd Adam Pearce, and and then Owens and Orton fought in the crowd, tables flying out, and uh, went to this booth area, and uh, Owens put Orton through some tables with a flying elbow drop, and you know ended it there. And so yeah, this match was ended in a no contest, and everybody still, even though everybody still, loved it and everything, I wanted to grade this, as a, winner versus, a winner and a loser. And as as brutal as this match was, um, it was still a disappointed that there was no definitive winner because the match never even started. So I'm not giving it a grade. So yeah, I mean, because even though they were beating the crap out of each other, there was no match, and so yeah, it was a disappointment. Even though even though the crowd was still into it, and so yeah, but there was a wrestling match in this next one, and that's LA Knight Andrade and Carmelo Hayes for the United States Championship, and all over there. I love triple threat matches, and this one was did not disappoint because this match was all over the place. And so yeah, this was a really good match, A minus match. LA Knight won the match, retaining the title, and so yeah, this was an amazing match. So good job to all three guys. And in the main event, Gunther, the Ring General, taking on Cody Rhodes, champion versus champion for the Crown Jewel Championship for the men's division. And yeah, this was a pretty good match. Both uh, that you definitely wanted to see in a main event. Um, my prediction was through the virtual prediction, pick Gunther to win, and so, but yeah, nonetheless, this was still a very good match, and even though the virtual prediction was Gunther becoming the winner, that did not happen. Cody Rhodes was the definitive winner and the inaugural men's crown jewel champion. And with that, this was an A minus match. This was a really good match. And yeah, fans were fans were into it, and so yeah, uh, crowd was so deafening the only way to be louder than the crowd was Gunther's chop. And yeah, um, so overall grade solid B. Match of the night was of course the triple threat match. Worst match of the night. I'm sorry again, even though a lot of people loved it. No definitive winner though. I like a definitive winner in my matches, and so um, that worst match of the night, of course, goes to Cody Rhodes. Christ, no. Scratch that. Randy Orton, Kevin Owens. So yeah, sorry. A lot of people just, even though a lot of people love the fighting and everything like that, that's fine. I get it. I understand. But I wanted to see a match begin and a match end. And since um, this match was thrown out because of all the drama that was going on in the ring and everything outside the ring, I'm sorry, but um, there was no winner. So yeah, worst match of the night because there was this was basically just a backyard brawl, I guess you could say, but it was not no backyard brawl. Um, So, before we end tonight, before we close out the show, I do want to mention that Baron Corbin, Tegan Knox, and Indy Hartwell are have been released from WWE. So, I do wish them a best of luck in all their future endeavors. All right, especially Baron because you know he really he had a pretty good he had an okay run in his time in the WWE, but then they just weren't really booking him well later on, and it's kind of sad, really, kind of sad because he had a at the beginning at the beginning of his WWE career, he was a beast, and yeah, he had a he had a pretty good image and everything like that, and he was a pretty damn good heel because of it. But then ever since he shaved his head, he gotten weaker. But nonetheless, but yeah, I do wish nothing but the best for these three wrestlers. And so yeah, we here at Wrestling Prime wish them nothing but the best in their future endeavors. Wherever they go, you're rooting for them. And with that said, thank you all so much for tuning in. Yeah, we went into overtime in this one, an hour and 45 minutes almost, actually. But thank you all so much for tuning in. And be sure to follow me on Twitter at TomDog247. If you missed any of tonight's episode, you can check it out as soon as I turn off the camera. Give this video a thumbs up if you like it. Comment down below about what you thought of Crown Jewel. I'd like to know what you have to say about that. And so, yeah, let us know. And ring the bell to stay notified of what I'm going to be doing next. And then support small streamers like myself by doing the most important thing you can do for us small streamers like myself, and that is lay the smackdown on that subscribe button. We'll see you next week here on Wrestling Prime, and Thursday we're back in business with some hot topics that I missed during my Ghostbusters month on Channel X. So yeah, we're going to be in full swing on that. And so yeah, pretty much catch up everybody on what's been going on. And so yeah, so it's going to be pretty much a laid back episode on Thursday, uh, this coming Thursday, because we're going to be talking about what's going to be coming up for the month of December. And so yeah, I'm going to be addressing that. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff going on. And for some odd reason, ooh, apparently one of my screens is blank. Okay. Transformers complete season 2. Okay. But yeah, um, so Channel X, we're going to be talking about a little going on there. And then next week we got some good hot topics coming up next week on Wrestling Prime. So hope you all tune in. With that, again, thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next week. Till then, this is Tom Dog saying take care. So long. Peace. See you next time, everybody. Love you all.